everyone. Thanks for stopping by the My Reader Minutes. If you're new here, welcome. If you've been here before, thanks for coming back. Now, I wanted to talk about the Real Housewives of Potomac, the part 2 reunion show. I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to come on here and review it because it really wasn't much to review. It was almost like a filler because it didn't get into anything. The only thing that it did do was confirm that I really don't care for Kiana because her personality is piss poor. I don't care for Ashley. It's time for her to go. Her time is up. 10 years is enough because she's just crazy. Giselle, for another year, does not have a storyline and is feeding off everybody else and doesn't want to talk to us about her personal life. That's pretty much it. It's like the ladies don't have anything going on. The only thing people that had something going on was Wendy. Unfortunately, it was her getting, locked up and charged with fraudulent felonies. And then you have Karen, who was locked up for her DUI. So it's like, this is Real Housewives of Potomac? It's horrible. It picks up where it left off last week. They're talking to Ashley and Wendy. And, of course, she dropped the bomb on her saying, you don't have any accomplishments. And then Ashley got upset and said, like, B-I-T-C-H, hell, yes, I do. And, Wendy's like, well, if you had some, you'd talk about them. She said, well, at least I got one social security number. Okay, which was kind of, she would have ate with that. But that's not what Wendy got charged for. It wasn't identity theft. It was fraud, insurance fraud. So, I don't know. And then she was going,
6'7", 6'7".
Can anybody tell me what that even means? I mean, my little niece says it, and don't say it anymore, but she did say it at one time. But I think that was just a thing that was going around with the kids. It's like, what does that mean? I guess she was alluding it to that maybe that she has 67 different social security numbers, even though when they popped it on the screen, it was more so pertaining to she had 67 different credit cards. Most of them, if you read the article, were expired. So not to say that 67 is a lot, let alone 67. So, I don't know what Wendy and Eddie are doing, but they'll have their day in court, and let's leave that there. Andy pops up and was like, well, Wendy, I'm assuming you're not going to accept Ashley's apology. And her thing was like, well, it's not that I don't want to accept her apology. It's just that I know she's full of crap. She said the other word, but, I got to clean it up for YouTube purposes, She said, yeah, because Stacey evidently shared with her some text messages. Because after they found out that she had gotten locked up or whatever, or charged, Stacey was confused and she reached out to Ashley and she was like, did you see, are you concerned? Or I can't remember. I'm paraphrasing. But anyway, Ashley was like, well, no, I'm not concerned. Maybe I'm concerned for her beautiful children. But, Wendy has been condescending to most of us on the cast. Maybe she has been because she had something to really be condescending about, especially with Ashley. Because what accomplishments does Ashley have? I mean, did she graduate college? Did she go to college? Not that makes you any better than anybody else. I'm not saying that. But what accomplishments does she have? Does she have a business? Does she have any businesses? She did have a restaurant with her husband, but that didn't last long, right? It was an Australian restaurant. She had that at one time, but she don't even have that anymore. Now she has some joint venture with Giselle, G&A, but I don't even know what that's about. It was a fashion line, but now it's not about fundraising, and I don't know what it's about. They had moved into a different direction with it. I don't know what it is. Is it an LLC for them both? I don't know what it is. Anyway, she doesn't have any major accomplishments, but maybe given birth to 2 children. And most of them on the cast have pushed out a baby, except for Kiana and Jazzy at this point. But I don't know. So her thing was, so it wasn't like she didn't want to accept her apology, but she's full of crap and she's already made it known that she doesn't care about what happens to me. So, and she was like, don't act like when he was like, don't act like you care about my kids. They don't know you and all this kind of stuff. And then Giselle had the nerve to pop up and say, Ashley's met your kids. And I don't even know why she even popped up and said anything, because she had not given anything to any of these episodes because she doesn't have a storyline. Like, what is Giselle's storyline? Let's move on to Ashley, because then, as they're talking to Ashley, Andy tries to get into what somewhat of a storyline Ashley did have and was talking about, like, how's your mom? How's her health? And she said it could be better. And I think he said, well, what about your stepdad? Is he, is he out? Is he still in rehab? And then she was like, I feel some way about stepdad, but yes, it's not my place to really tell. So why are you on the sofa? Like, why are you here? You can't talk about anything that's going on in your real life, but yet you want to antagonize other people, which is what she's done the whole 10 years, even since year one, when she was Googling everybody. And remember how she went after Robin? Robin and Juan, they didn't have no money. She pulled up how much money they had in their account. Then she pulled up the fact that Juan was cheating back then and that he has another girlfriend. Like, Juan has always been on the prowl, according to the streets. Yeah, this is crazy. So they talk about, what else did they talk about? So I guess Ashley says, well, she feels like people call her messy, and it's not that. It's just that she feels like this group of ladies or this dynamic of ladies has been super sensitive. And back in the day, they weren't that sensitive, but they've always been sensitive. They've always come at your neck, Ashley, about you getting in their business about their stuff. Giselle and Robin came to your restaurant and let you have it. Came and walked up on you. And I remember Robin doing one of these numbers, like, keep my name out your mouth type thing. Yeah, she did that. They've always been sensitive. So that's not nothing new. So her thing was like, well, since these ladies are super, super sensitive, I'll just have to adapt to their sensitivity and all that kind of stuff, which is a bunch of crap. Anyway, then Andy starts talking about, who she's dating. And I might be, a little all over the place, but I'm trying to cover like what was discussed in their package. Not much, but I'm going to go with what I got. So they talk about her dating Josh, and no, was she still dating Josh? And I think Ashley said yes. And then Stacey was like, after you humiliated him on national TV, you broke up with that boy. She was like, you only do things when the camera's on. And so she made up some bull crap about Josh. And then they talk about, Ashley Jackson, Sharice's son, and saying that she alluded to it was more than a kiss on Watch What Happens Live and on different interviews that she had been on. And they asked her what actually happened. Was it more than a kiss? And she was like, no, it wasn't more than a kiss. Andy asked Wendy, what did she think about it? And she was like, well, I think, but once I see you as a child, you're always a child. I don't agree with that. I don't know why Andy asked Ashley, but he was like, who initiated the advance or whatever? I think Ashley said he did, because I wouldn't do that. No, you would just reciprocate. So if a child, or someone, a young adult, we won't call him a child because, he's not a child anymore. He is 27 or 25 at the time. If he initiated, even though you remember he was 15, that means just because he's a grown man now, I mean, you're not breaking any laws, granted, but it's just that whole thing is trash. It just goes to show that Ashley is a product of her environment, how she was raised. Sorry, Sheila, but it is what it is. She goes on to talk about she didn't know why Sharice is going on this tour, this retaliation tour, whatever she's doing, or talking about, Ashley being with her son, when over the years, Sharice has always said, oh, I want you to be my daughter-in-law, and oh, it's cute, you and Jackson flirting with each other. Oh, she's like, she was for it. But who's to say that she just didn't mean what she actually said? Like, oh, well, that's cute. Y'all have this little cheat, little flirting fodder going on between you two. She probably didn't mean for you to actually be her daughter-in-law. Maybe she did think that was cute because you never made it a point in front of her to think that you would even go there. And it was cute that, oh, look, he likes you type thing, her son. You know what I mean? But it didn't mean that she meant for it to go any further than that. You know what I'm saying? It was just light banter. That's how I took it. That's how I would have taken it, maybe. I don't know. So then she shares with the cast that she's writing a children's book. So then she's writing a children's book, and she talks about how it's basically the story is based around Dean and Dylan, and then they have their friends. And then she said she tried to make it all inclusive because if there's a one child on there that's in a wheelchair, and then she has another child on there that is a little black girl. And Wendy asked her, well, what's the name of that character? She said her name is Anita. And she says, oh, she looks like Cam. And she said, oh, I can change her name to Cam. But that was it. So then they talk about Karen's package, the different footages of her. Shout out to the footages. They go through the different footage of her and Greg and how they show Greg in this jewelry store looking at rings for her. And he comes home and gives her this picture frame. And I don't know. I think they also show Giselle's confessional where she was like, look, the old aunties used to say, you move in with the guy, you're pretty much he's taking your power because there's no way that he's going to marry you. And, Karen is trying to save face. She's like, yeah, well, me and Greg, we're fine with the way we are. And, I know that's how they used to do it back in the old days, but this is how we're doing it and we're fine with it. I'm not really in a rush. We're taking our time. Girl, bye. You can't wait to get that ring. So they were like, well, I think Andy asked, has there been any event, any changes, any updates or whatever? So she reaches behind this pillow like she's getting ready to pull out something. We're thinking, oh, maybe she's going to pull out a ring box. Nope, that wasn't it. She pulls out the picture frame and she's hugging it like this. And I'm thinking to myself, and there was some note in the frame. I don't know what it said. Couldn't really see it. But how lame is that? How lame is that? Like, this man is making you look crazy on here. And on top of that, you have a piss poor attitude. Nobody really cares for it. I don't know. It's coming across a little, I don't know, arrogant / bossy / just mean. All of those together aren't really good combinations. Now, I understand that Karen is from Baltimore. And with my experiences, and I'm not trying to insult anybody, but there is an arrogance. And some, I won't say all, I won't say most, but some ladies carry that attitude. I think that's just the attitude in Baltimore. Maybe that's the attitude, period. I don't know, but I find it more so like that in Baltimore. It's just an attitude. I can't put my finger on it because when I've gone to Baltimore, I sense it. And they act just like Kiana. Just saying. My personal opinion. You don't have to agree with me. But no, I don't like Kiana. I don't like the way she's treated Stacy or Wendy because to me, I don't even know why she even has an issue with either one of them. It's just weird. It's just weird how she goes after Stacy. And Stacy says she's been aggressive to her. And so, but Stacy breaks it down. She said, yeah, I do. As a Black woman, I have the responsibility not to, label someone as that certain stereotype. But at the same token, Kay has the responsibility to behave herself. I was like, I know that's right. Yes. Like, stop coming at me like that. Stop coming at me wrong. And then they wanted to make it seem like when they met for lunch or whatever, that was a peace lunch or whatever, and she ordered something that had cheese on it that she was going to eat. She's like, do you want whatever it's called? Kiana was like, I don't eat cheese. And she says, and okay, so but she wanted it. So she ordered it for herself. So I don't know why that was the issue. She was like, well, she have to spell it out? Well, I'm going to order this for myself. Order what you want. Like, did she have to say that? Like, if you know you can't eat cheese, don't touch it. That's mine. I want it. You know what I mean? I don't know what that was about, but they made it seem like, oh, she ordered cheese. Like, if she around cheese, is something going to happen to her? I thought that she said she was lactose intolerant. And if you're around cheese, I don't know if that does anything. Like, you just can't eat it. And even if you're lactose intolerant, what? It makes you gassy? I mean, I don't know. Anywho, that was Kiana's package. I didn't like it. So another part of Kiana's package was the Wendy portion. And Wendy wanted to know why she didn't come back and tell the ladies that she did speak to her. Evidently, there was a speaking engagement. Kiana came back and told everyone that Wendy didn't speak to her. And she made this a storyline when she first came on for the first part of the season. And I remember at Ashley's Bloom ball or whatever, she made a point to sit down with Wendy. And Wendy was just like, because I guess Wendy knew that she was just blowing hot air. So I see it now. But I didn't see it before. But she was like, Wendy was being dismissive and wasn't actually listening to her. Because Wendy was probably like, girl, you're making stuff up because I hugged you. We spoke. In her mind, she was saying it. She didn't say it to her. She was just listening to her like, I remember them talking. And she was basically saying, when you saw me, you didn't speak and all this kind of stuff. Well, at the reunion, it comes out that somebody evidently somebody else that was there took a picture. And after Wendy finished doing her speech or whatever, she said she came down and greeted Kiana and gave her a hug. And the person took a picture of them hugging. So Kiana's on the other side of this, on her side. Look, Andy, this is the picture of the room. This is the picture of the room, Andy. And Andy said, oh, that's a nice, cute room. I'm like, I don't understand where she was going with that. Like, what are you doing, Kiana? What are you doing? It made no sense. And she said, I don't know why you didn't come back and tell the ladies that we did speak. But you made it, her narrative was Wendy didn't speak to her. And Wendy was like, what did you want me to wave to you while I was up there speaking? It didn't make sense. It's like she made it up and she had nothing to say in return. Like the photo told it all. Like she hugged you. Like, what are you doing? So it's like she was making up storylines. So yeah, she got to go. I don't like it. And she needs to remain either a friend of or like Sharice be a walk on every now and again. I don't think she's cut out to be a housewife. At least not in where she is today. Come back later. They talk about Jazzy. Oh, Jazzy comes out there. And she's got like 4 or 5 people out there helping her bring her dress out. Now, if I thought the dress was ugly before, I really think it's ugly now. I don't like her dress. I think whatever they had or envisioned in their mind didn't roll out or come out. I don't think her dress turned out the way that the designer expected it to turn out. Plus, it looked like the roses and stuff were falling off of it. It looked like it was a wedding dress that maybe that she might have changed it to, and they just repurposed it. And she wore it again I don't know. Again, Jazzy, I feel like she tries too hard. She was going back and forth with Kiana. I think Andy asked where's her and Kiana? Where do they stand? And she said nowhere. She said, since we're not talking. And Kiana says, well, I did see her. No, she said, I didn't know who she was. I didn't know who she was. I didn't know who she was. I'm like, what, Kiana? She was like, yeah, I think her and Ashley might have been standing together. And Ashley was like, hey, Jazzy. And she said, well, she looked up, she said, oh, that's Jazzy. But she said, I just didn't know who she was. I'm thinking to myself, that's why she doesn't need to be on the show anymore. Honestly, she's horrible. She's a horrible person. She's mean. And then Jazzy took it to another level. Like she was just going too hard and, and saying all this unnecessary stuff. And like she's thirsty. And we understand you want your spot on the show. We get it. You got to work at it. You got to work. And then they talk about how, and then she goes in on, Kiana talking about she stole Greg away from his wife and taking care of his kids. And Kiana's like, what, girl? You got 15 minutes. Don't waste them all on me. This type. She's like, you don't have to go there. You don't have to act like that. Blah, 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 blah. Then she turns on Tia and she gets mad and they spin back to the episode, the part of the, season where they went to Nevis, I think it was. I think they were still in Nevis then. And Mr. Sunshine that owned the restaurant that they went to, he must have favored Jazzy. He wanted to be in the picture next to Jazzy. So Tia said, oh, he likes you, blah, 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 blah. And she got mad about that. So what? The man likes you. Nobody saying you had to go home with him. Nobody had to say you had to stay here in Nevis with him. Like it was an observation. Clearly, he said it on camera. So what's the problem? Like, I don't know if she was just trying to come across like that wasn't how she was carrying herself. She didn't want anything to give back to her husband because she hadn't got married yet. I don't know what that was about, but that was horrible. But I remember Kiana's message on that. She was like, man, and when they put them side by side, Mr. Sunshine and Jazzy's husband, it looked like it could have been father-son. I remember that because I was like, oh my God. And then she said, Mr. Sunshine got 2 teeth and 2 dreads. Ain't nobody thinking that you really like that man. You know what I mean? So cut it out. So, and then she was going on Tia and how she zapped out at her with the fork and she said, and you and Tia's like, oh my God, you have anger issues, And it was just, back and forth, back and forth. Then they talk about Tia's package. Tia's package ain't got nothing going on either. They talk about, how her and her sister are coming together and trying to build a relationship. I guess when her father was living, she really didn't acknowledge her. It wasn't until her father died that she still wanted a piece of her father. So she, I guess, reached out to her sister and wanted to, come together and be sisters, because they do have that one thing in common. So I'm assuming that's why she reached out to her. But her sister's very pretty. I think her sister's a very attractive lady. What else about Tia? And then, I don't know, Tia doesn't have much of a storyline. I don't know. What did Giselle give? Giselle didn't give anything. Only thing she spoke up, talk about was, I think when they asked Ashley, was she dating a congressman? Stacey looked at her and was like, that's impossible. She was like, why is that impossible? She was like, the way you behave, the way you act, your history or whatever, please. And so Giselle said something like, or Annie must have addressed Giselle or something about Ashley dating a congressman. She said, I thought they were talking about me. She said, because I dated a congressman. And people were like, when? when did you date a congressman? So Andy was like, that was after we finished taping. She was like, yeah, that was after. She said, a congressman's not going to want to be on TV. I believe that she dates, but she doesn't want to show us her life. Ever since she brought Sherman on the show, you can see, rest assured, she ain't bringing nobody else in front of the camera because that one left. And she liked Sherman. That hurt her heart. She really liked him. And that's why she had to make pretend with Jamal, act like she was getting back with him. And then he telling the other people, this is just for the show. And then she brought that little young boy on there. That was just for the show. We know that was just for the show. They didn't even have no chemistry. Yeah, so I don't know. Giselle really don't have much. I want to see where they go with it, this third part coming up. She don't have a storyline. And why is she still here? Anyway, so then they bring out Monique. And Monique comes out with her triangle dress. And she said they're actually a symbolism of the pyramids because that's where she found herself. Girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's where she found herself. And so I guess that's what the designer tried to focus on. She has a triangle here and one behind her looking like, I don't know, it looked like it's a dress from the future, anything, and I don't know what it is. It's like half Supergirl. I don't know what it's doing. Anyway, so she basically comes out and lets us know that she has been served a cease and desist. Cease and desist, yeah, by her estranged, well, they're divorced, by Chris Samuels. And it's because of possibly Stacy. And Stacy's looking at her like, all befuddled, like, what? Huh? And she's like, I know you're not going to be able to air this. She said, but listen to this. And she plays a recording from her phone and she's letting everybody listen to it. And everybody's like, and Stacy's like, she was like, there's no way or no reason that I need to talk about you to anybody. She was like, I don't talk to him or whatever. And I don't know what the recording said, but evidently, I want to say that I think it was Chris actually saying it because they try to bleep it out, but I heard the last part of Stacy saying as if she was saying Chris, right? Because it couldn't have been Cookie because Cookie doesn't end with an S. So she was like, I can't believe that said that. So to me, I'm thinking it was Chris on the phone saying, this is what she said. And somehow he was told that Monique was filming with the kids. Even though if they cut him out. If they did film with them, they cut him out. So we never saw them. Maybe that's why. I don't know. But yeah. So her thing was, I don't know who to believe. She said, I don't even know Stacy. She said, but I'm inclined to to go with, even though she don't want to. But she said, Stacy's name keeps coming up in everything. Like she's the one that's going back saying stuff, saying that I said this and said that. And Stacy's like, I'm not saying it. I'm not even in contact with Chris. I'm not even, you know. So Monique says, well, when I first met you, you were in contact with him because you showed me a text message from him. But if I remember correctly, when she showed the text message from Chris, it was him reaching out to Stacy, but she wasn't responding to him because he had sent a message to her about her and her daughter being on the front of some magazine. And when Stacy didn't respond, he was like, what you could say is thank you or whatever, blah, 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 blah. She still never responded. And then he must have said something about he heard his name had been coming up in taping or filming or something like that. Stacy said, I haven't said anything to Chris. And she says, I need you to be smart in this moment right now. She said, we're talking about Cookie. Because Cookie evidently is hating. They think that she likes Chris, and anything to deter him from Monique or Stacy, even though neither one of them ladies are interested in him. Obviously, Chris is not interested in Cookie. But it sounds like she starts a lot of stuff. Anyway, I would be like Monique. I don't trust none of y'all, first and foremost. Stacy, I don't even know you. And yeah, you do have, and Stacy does have a reason to lie because even if she did deal with Chris and she's trying to get back with her husband, she don't want her husband knowing that. So I would lie too. You know what I'm saying? If this is where you want to be back with your husband, Arabella, and have your nice little family unit. No, I am not dealing with him. I don't contact him. I don't know what you're talking about. I've never said anything. And that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. But this was not a good episode. I did not like it. It only confirmed some of the notions or thoughts that I had before. Stacy, she does lie, but I think she lies for good reason. Not that it harms anybody. They're not harmful lies, but she lies to cover herself. Wendy, she's on a wing and a prayer. She doesn't know how much freedom she got left. She says she loses all autonomy when you're locked up. Well, if you go for years, you're going to had none because you're going to have to get up when they say get up, go to bed when they say get up, do these chores when they say do these chores. You ain't going to have nothing. You and Eddie. You and Eddie Hennessy. Pam. Yeah. So she's got that going on. Ashley is just an antagonizer. She's a bully or tries to be one from the 90s, bullying Angel, bullying Wendy, and bullying Stacy. Those were her targets. Well, initially Stacy and Angel, but then when Wendy got into her little conflict, she looked for a reason not to like her because she didn't like her from the beginning. Because the first episode that Wendy was on, she was like,
I got 4 degrees. I got 4 degrees. I am not stupid. You call me Dr. Wendy.
I know that's right. Anywho, Jazzy, let it go, girl. Go get another director. I don't know. She just does too much. She to me is too thirsty. She tries too hard. Kiana is just nasty and mean, and we don't need that. We already have Giselle. We're good. We don't need another Giselle. And I think that's who she's trying to emulate, actually. But she can't do it. It comes across a little different with Giselle. Giselle, when she comes off nasty and mean, she at least looks concerned when she's talking to you. You know what I'm saying? Like she'll look like she wants to engage in a conversation, but she really doesn't. Kiana's just nasty and dismissive. And that dynamic between her and Angel is weird to me. Angel, I think she should be allowed to come back again without Kiana because I think we get more from her, a true Angel without Kiana. So if Bravo decides to bring her back, leave Kiana home and just bring Angel back. I guess Monique is slated to come back maybe as a friend. I don't know, but bring her back. We'll see what happens. I mean, I know she's dating a married man. Why don't we bring that to the forefront? The guy that she used to work with on the radio show. At least she was. I don't know how true it is. I ain't there, never, don't know none of these people, but that's what they saying in the blogs. Okay? Everything on this channel is a legend in my opinion only. Thank you. And that's it. So next week we see they bring out Karen and Wendy have their conversations because I don't understand why there's beef there. Like I don't remember the beef. But when they showed the sneak peek, it basically alludes that Karen is mad with Wendy about what she had to say about Karen saying that she needs to be watched out for. Because remember, Stacy brought it to Wendy's attention what Karen said about her. And it didn't dawn on me that I forgot about all that happened. Remember when Stacy was hosting that pet adoption rescue event or whatever, and the dog started pooping everywhere? She had made mention that Karen told her she needs to be careful of Wendy, need to watch out for her and all this kind of stuff. When Wendy had just taken, I think, Karen to the White House with her because she considered Karen a friend. And all this time, Karen was basically like, you need to watch out for Wendy. You need to do this, you need to do that, being real sneaky behind her back. So when Wendy made a comment about what Stacy told her and was like paying Karen dust, then all of a sudden, I guess Karen had an attitude. So is that why you have an attitude with Wendy? Because of stuff that you did, Karen? Was you that drunk still? That don't even make sense. So they talk about that. They talk about, Wendy says something about Karen mentioning the conversation about her mother being a witch. She didn't particularly care for that. She said she expected that from the other ladies, but not Karen. She really allowed Karen in her life to more than she probably should have. I remember she went to Karen about her idea about the candle. Karen stole that idea and went with a 3-wick candle as if her idea was better. Karen has pretty much showed Wendy that she's not really her friend. And if she needs to open her eyes, because evidently Stacy ain't either, because she opened up a weed business also. Just saying. But they say the best compliment is flattery. They obviously feel like Wendy got it going on. So she didn't have to put on airs and act like she did because she already had it going on. So now her fate lies in the courts of Maryland. So Anyway, I pray everything works out. That's all, y'all. That's all. That's all I got. And I know there wasn't a lot. It wasn't really exciting. It wasn't exciting to me either. But that's where we are. If you enjoyed this, if you're still on here listening to me ramble on and on and on and on, I have more content just like this on this channel. Please tune in. Check out the next video. Everyone be blessed and peace.